What is the difference between the out and the ref parameters in C#? In C#, both the out and the ref parameters are used to pass arguments by reference, which means that any changes that are made to the parameter inside the method are reflected in the calling code. However, there are important differences between the two. Before I go into the code examples, let's quickly go over how we pass arguments in C#. We pass the arguments by value or by reference. Passing by value is the default method, and when you pass by value, the method receives a copy of the argument, but any modifications that are made inside that method do not affect the original variable. On the other hand, when you pass by reference, the method receives a reference to the original argument, and that means that any modifications which are made inside the method affect the original variable. Now, let's start with the code examples. Let's start with the ref parameter. As we mentioned already, the ref parameter is used when we need to modify the variable inside the method, and the variable needs to be actually initialized before we pass it to the method. So let's build our example quickly. I'm going to create a class which is going to be called bank account. So public class bank account, and it is going to have a single method which is going to be apply interest rate. So public void apply interest rate, and we're going to have two parameters. First one is going to be our balance, and the second one is going to be our interest rate, so decimal interest rate. And inside the method, we're going to modify the balance, and we're going to have balance multiplied by the interest rate. And inside our main method, we're going to declare our balance, so decimal balance, we're going to set it at 100, and we're going to have decimal interest rate at 5%, and let's print the initial balance. Initial balance is balance, and now we're going to call our method, but first we need to create our bank account. And now let's call our method apply interest rate, and we're passing the balance using the ref keyword, and we have our interest rate. And now we're going to print the balance after calling the apply interest rate to see if the variable has actually been modified. Let's run our code example and see the output. The initial balance is 100, and the balance after applying the interest rate, balance after applying the interest rate is 105, which means that when we use the ref keyword, the method modifies our variable, and our variable must be initialized before we call that method. So let's take a look at the second code example, which is going to be using the out keyword, and then we're going to clearly see what the difference between using the ref and the out keyword is. Okay, now let's take a look at our second code example. We're going to be using the out parameter. The out parameter, unlike the ref parameter, the variable does not need to be initialized before passing that parameter to our method. So let's build our code example. I'm going to create my class, which is going to be called input parser. And what the program will do is we're going to ask the user for their age, and based on their input, if the age is a valid integer, we're going to print your age is whatever the user typed, and if it is not, we're going to print invalid age input. So let's build our code. we are going to have again a single method, which is going to be called try get age, and we're going to have our user input, which is going to be a string, and then our out int age parameter, and inside our method we're going to return int try parse input out age. So let's call the method from our main method. Okay, while true, we're going to ask the user for the age. So we're going to have console write line, please enter your age, please enter your age, and then we're going to have the user input console read line, and now we're going to try to get the user age. So if input parser try get age, input out int age, we're going to print the age, else we're going to print invalid input. So I'm going to explain the code in a second. Let me just console write line invalid age input. Otherwise we're going to print the user age. Let me just copy this, and I'm going to have your age is, and we're going to print the age. Okay, so basically what the code does, if this method returns true, meaning that the input is a valid age, a valid integer, we're going to print your age is with followed by the age. And if the user types something else which is not a valid integer, we're going to print invalid age input. Let's run our code and see if it works. And to have please enter your age 23, your age is 23, please enter your age 34, your age is 34, and if we type something else, we're going to get invalid age input. And you can see the difference between using the out parameter and the ref parameter. Here the age variable does not need to be initialized before passing it to a method, unlike the ref parameter. And again, let's quickly summarize the differences between the ref and out in C#. The ref parameter must be initialized before being passed to the method, and the method can both read and modify the value of the variable. And you should use ref when you need to pass an already initialized variable and expect the method to modify and return the same. And when we are going to be using the out parameter does not need to be initialized before being passed, and you should use the out parameter when you want the method to initialize and return a value that the caller can actually use. And that was all for me for today. Thank you for watching.